everybody. Welcome to this edition of Boss Dialogues. As you all know, we have Ashutosh Gowariker with us today. The guy who, as Shakti said, has made history on screen. He's he started off a bit like, let's say a bit shaky with Pehla Nasha and Bazi, and then went on to make what I think is a defining film of the first decade of this millennium, which is Lagaan. Followed up with Swades, Jodhaa Akbaar. You started off as an actor. I still remember you in Kachi Dhoop, that lovely gem of a TV serial that Amol Palekar made.
Yeah.
Then you did, of course, your CID and Chamatkar. So whenever...
You remember that?
I remember Chamatkar because I love that song, actually, that Anumalik song. And there's you with your long hair. But I remember you also told me that when you were doing that film, you were really sort of turned off acting and you were more into writing at that time. What were you writing?
No, I was writing Lagaan, but I was quite disillusioned in my acting years. Whenever I met producers for a part, most of them would say to me, "तुम बहुत soft लगते हो.
Okay.
तुमको villain नहीं करना चाहिए, तुमको hero try करना चाहिए." And I would say, okay. And then when I approach people to play the leads, they would say, "यार तुम्हें villain try करना चाहिए. तुम्हारी personality अच्छी है, लंबे हो तुम, तो villain will be." So I kept tossing around between these two, and simultaneously was developing a deep interest in direction. So I decided that why not, unofficially assist the directors that I'm working with. I mean, just by observing.
But if you were writing Lagaan, you didn't make that first. You went on to make Pehla Nasha, which is actually your only whodunit.
Yeah.
And after that, you've been doing history. So in another life, were you ever a doctoral student doing research? I mean, you seem to like research.
No, actually for me, it's the theme that is most inspiring. So the theme of, different people from different backgrounds coming together to achieve a common goal, that kind of was very exciting. And then as I went on developing it, if I have to have these group of people fight a common enemy in contemporary times, then I might make something like a political film, where, all these common man is fighting against the system.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that.
Okay.
So I started going back in time, started looking at what if I place it pre-independence. Right. And pre-independence again was too much of Quit India movement and too much of non-violent movement. So I decided, let me go back one more century. And that's when I hit upon, in my research, that cricket had just begun in 1890s.
Okay.
And it just hit me that why not have these 11 people who are villagers who want to fight the British, but they fight a non-violent. Yeah.
But getting back to Pehla Nasha, how did Pehla Nasha come about actually? And how come you've never explored that genre again?
No, actually Pehla Nasha was more of my way of trying to get comfortable. Okay. Because I was very scared that if I'm going to now say action, I better do it with a script which is, much simpler.
Okay.
In my safe situation, I was trying to seek, what does the audience like? What kind of songs do they like? What kind of action sequences? So let me draw from them and try and concoct a script which satisfies everyone.
Okay.
And of course, it didn't satisfy anyone. But when it came out, my first thing was कि ये दुनिया नहीं समझती है. And what do audiences know? They didn't get my movie, and it's a film that is way ahead of its time, and all that happened. And after 6 months, I realized that the fault is in me. The fault is in me because I chose a wrong script.
Right.
I wrote a wrong script. I mean, both Pehla Nasha and Bazi happened at the same time.
Now in Bazi, you had Amir Khan in drag.
Yeah.
And today, if you see, there's this very popular program that comes, Comedy Nights with Couple, where not the lead, but the really interesting characters are in drag. And if you see any of these comedy shows, they always have the man in drag. Yeah. But you were like one of the first. I mean, it's not that it wasn't done earlier, but Amir Khan in drag. Yeah. How did that come about?
Well, the character of Amar Damji in that film, he's a cop who is, trying to do things very differently. He is a cop, but at the same time, he also has a kind of a CID investigative attitude. For Amir, it suited very well. Mm-hmm. So it was like a bingo moment when, all of us felt, oh my God. And when it's Amir, it just takes a different dimension.
True. Okay, now you worked with, of course, Amir Khan in Lagaan, Shah Rukh Khan in Swades, Hrithik Roshan in Jodhaa Akbaar. Tell us something about their styles of working.
An actor thinks that I need to know everything about what I'm doing, about what I'm wearing, about who are my co-actors, what is my give and take going to be. I need rehearsals for that. Only after I look at all the environment, I'm able to perform.
Yeah.
I'm able to evolve. I'm able to give a good shot. That's how much. Shah Rukh, I've felt, is once he knows the scene, then he avoids over rehearsing. He's someone who will approach it very, very spontaneously on set.
Yeah.
And which is a very, very different way of doing it. And I've seen both the actors while being a co-actor also. Hrithik was someone who was not in my. I met him only as a director first time.
Yeah.
So
didn't have act with him.
No, there was no opportunity.
There was no opportunity. Yeah.
So with Hrithik, it was a kind of introduction and meeting him and discovering him, and I find him to be a curious blend of both.
Okay.
He's also he needs all the preparation. He needs to know what are his clothes going to be, what kind of ambience the scene is going to have, and he wants to know all of that, and then he tries to be spontaneous on set. I mean, it's fab for me to have worked with three different kinds of approaches towards acting.
In our industry, when you have a success, you are feted and you're celebrated and all these sort of things happen.
Yeah.
And then when you have a failure, you are still the same maker,
Yeah.
but suddenly you are ridiculed. And everyone has an opinion on it, basically,
Yeah.
and always have something bad to say. What do you think is the coping mechanism for a director?
No, I never reached that coping period because I think that for me, if I've decided to make, say, a film on a Chittagong rebellion, once I finish the film, if I look at it and if I feel that the target that I had set for myself to make the film, have I achieved that target? Have I achieved that target with regards to every crew member?
Okay.
Has the DOP, is the DOP satisfied with what he's created? Is the actor satisfied? Are we all satisfied? Yes, we are. Then we have succeeded in what we started out to do.
Okay.
Now, from here on, let us see whether the audience aligns with it. If the audience aligns with it, we have a box office success.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, but still, what we created is what we created. I mean, there's no going back. Nothing changes that.
True.
So for me, I am proud of a film, including Palanasha or Bazi, because they did something for me. They triggered some knowledge in me about cinema, about what to do, what not to do. And that has stayed with me. Of course, audiences are very, very innocently ruthless.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we go to see a movie and we, intermission we immediately talk to our friends and we say, yaar, bundle hai yaar, first half to, second half dekhte hain. Or we want to leave the film. Or after the film is over, we say it's a crap film, and we tell our friends ki mat dekh yaar, bahut. So it's innocently ruthlessness. I like to look back.
Okay.
I'm not someone who will not look back at my films that haven't worked, because I want to keep that in mind. Don't want to make that mistake again. Maybe make a new mistake, but definitely not that mistake. Yeah.
Even within the industry, things change, isn't it? Don't invitations become less? And, don't phone calls become less when you've made a failure? Doesn't that happen?
It depends on how many phone calls you were getting before.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
So, actually, that doesn't matter to
No?
me so much about.
Okay.
Because I think it's a natural part of our business. It's not just applied to movies, it can be applied to any profession. Where you have a bad day, you have a bad month or a bad year, and because you're not on the scene, you get missed out.
Yeah.
You cannot be vengeful about it.
Okay.
You cannot be अच्छा,
मैं देख लूँगा.
ये समाज है जालिम दुनिया. You can't do all that.
Do you think What's Your Rashi would have worked if you hadn't taken Harman Baveja? Because, he was a bit of a media outcast by then.
No. I don't think so, because I think what works is the film.
Okay.
If the film would have worked, Harman would have been a star. You would have liked him for all his, whatever he's done. Still, you would have said कि यार इस picture में, इस character में बहुत अच्छा किया उस लड़के ने. And there are so many other films that we see which are such bonanza films and great commercial films, and the actor has been launched multiple times, but he doesn't connect.
Yeah.
Now that's tragic. So I don't say that What's Your Rashi did not work because Harman's presence was there. I feel What's Your Rashi doesn't work because my script was not right and my direction was not right. Had it been right, he would have been a star. I feel that Priyanka's most fabulous performance which has gone unnoticed is in Mohenjo-daro, because she played 12 parts.
Yes.
And there are no prosthetics. She has to look different just by way of mannerism and behavior, and by way of just, probably change her hairstyle a bit and wardrobe. So I thought she was fabulous. But because of when the film doesn't work, your best work also doesn't go so much noticed.
Yeah. I remember one day when I was sitting in Shamshrav's office, and he said, we're very excited about this film called Lagaan. And of course, like everybody else, it was like, God knows what Lagaan is. I mean, I never heard the word. Yeah. And then he showed me this big poster with these 11 random people in dhoti, and he said, there's going to be a cricket match at the end. And I seriously thought that, the Shroffs who were so good at choosing films were making this really big mistake. So, but what I want to ask you from this is that who were the people who had faith in Lagaan all through the making of it, It was obviously their faith that allowed you to do what you wanted to do.
I think everyone, each and every crew member.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, some of the crew members, someone like Rahman said yes because Amir was doing it. He didn't say yes to me because I was coming with 2 failures behind me.
Right.
A lot of people were, when they read the script, they somewhere knew that this is something special happening.
Okay.
I would say almost everyone, the entire team, especially Mr. Jhamu Sugandh also, the late Jhamu Sugandh, who at that time put in an astronomical sum of money on some villagers in dhoti playing cricket.
And this is really strange because this is like before the new wave cinema, as it was, as it were, had actually come into India. So, to be able to put money into a film like this that was so radically different from what was being made at that time.
Yeah. But I would say new wave is something that it happens every 5 years. It's not that...
It's not that new.
It's not so new. Because I think even when Dilwale came out or when Hum Aapke Hain Kaun came out, it was new wave in a way. What happens is when you use terms like new wave, they get confused with art house cinema or parallel cinema, or there are these different terms.
True.
For me, I feel that whatever succeeds and whatever is emulated is immediately the new wave.
Okay.
So for me, I think that happens every 5 years, and I feel it's necessary it should happen every 5 years.
So you must be nervous at the awards time, were you? I mean, I know Amir doesn't take awards, but surely that didn't...
No. I love awards. I feel that, for an actor, when a film succeeds, the next film he signs, he gets crores of rupees.
Yeah.
That's where his success formula is. Ki main succeed ho gaya, mujhe itne paise mile.
Yeah.
A technician necessarily doesn't get that.
Okay.
So what becomes important is also an award.
Right.
I'm never nervous at awards because I feel it's ultimately the outcome of a jury who comes together and decides which is the best film. So if we decide that this section of the crowd, all of us over here, are going to be a jury, we might select a film, and jury might select another film for best film. So it depends on which jury is selecting in which event or function or festival.
Absolutely.
So I like to just sit back and enjoy.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay, much like this interview, actually, Lagaan probably follows you around everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, and I like it. Yeah.
So what do you think it is, if you had to sort of say what it is, the one thing about Lagaan that makes it such a milestone and makes it something that everybody wants to talk to you about?
When I was making the film, I knew I was combining 2 biggest obsessions of the nation.
Okay.
That was politics and sports.
Yeah.
And both of these I was combining with entertainment in terms of cinema, I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's a very strange combination of cinema and sports and politics coming on screen. I think that's one of the biggest attraction points for Lagaan. I still remember so freshly that it took me a week to write this when I hit upon the idea that okay, so it's cricket, these people from different backgrounds will use their village occupations into the game and they'll fight the British and all this will happen. I was like, bingo, we were blown with ourselves.
In a week? You wrote it in 1 week?
In a week, yeah. Because everything just fell into place.
Wow, okay. Yeah. Okay, one last Lagaan question for the moment. But do you ever find yourself totally awed by the risk that you took with this film? It was so not a conventional film.
Yeah.
Are you ever awed yourself by the fact that you did this?
No, see, for me it was not a risk because I was already very low. I mean, I was down and out. I mean, I couldn't go any lower than that.
Okay.
So I knew that if I have to make this and if I succeed in this, then it's the way up only.
Okay.
Believe me that, so many scripts I went through, hitting up on this one, when I finished it, even in that 1 week, I had an intrinsic feeling. It can go to festivals, it can win awards, international festivals. It can be eligible for the foreign language film category.
Oh, even then you thought you knew that?
Yeah, because I was an avid film goer and
Okay.
I was watching a lot of movies in the festivals and
Okay.
I am very in touch with what is happening. So I knew that this was an unusual blend.
So you are not overawed by yourself?
No.
No, yeah. Okay. You mentioned A.R. Rahman. What is it about your brief, let us say, to him, that he gives you this absolutely fantastic music in every film?
He needs a lot of inputs in terms of not only the script narration, that you narrated the script to him, you told him the situations, but it's also about more details about characterization, more details about what you want to create as a final impact in the film. The first song that we were doing was Ghanan Ghanan. I told him that we need to have a feeling of when the clouds come in, the villagers must feel as if they don't have words to express their joy. They should be just bumbling with so much energy when they see the clouds that the music the first tune should represent that. Then, when the song was done, I said to him that, when the clouds come in, the first image of it is, I can very easily put in, sounds of thunder. But I need something musical. This 31st night,
Okay.
he hasn't gone partying. And he gave me 2-3 different kinds of starts. And then at 4 a.m., he calls me and says that, I think I've got it. What he did was, Shankar Mahadevan had sung the first line, which was Ghanana Ghanana Giri Giri Vadira.
Okay.
So he took Shankar's voice of Ghanan and he looped it several times. And he gave that looping a volume leveling, which kept going, rising and lowering,
Okay.
which gave it the feeling of Ghanana 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 Ghanana. That's how and I thought that was incredible. So I think he's brilliant in his application, but you have to sit with him and you have to share information with him. You have to sit with him and give him as many details as you can about your story, about your script, everything.
Is it also true that every time you set out to make a film and you go to Javed Saab, he tells you, don't make this film, and then you make it, and then he says, wow, thank God you made it. Is this really true?
Yeah, it always happens because Lagaan, when I narrated to him, he was very polite because it's the first time I'm meeting him.
Okay.
So I narrated and he looked at it and he said, देखिए आपकी फिल्म में 5-6 प्रॉब्लम है.
5?
हाँ. And I was sitting with the Javed Akhtar.
True.
So I was, yes sir. So he said, एक तो धोती में कैरेक्टर्स नहीं होने चाहिए, आपका हीरो धोती में कभी नहीं होना चाहिए. 2, ब्रिटिश राज पे आप पिक्चर मत बनाइए, because that's not a. क्रिकेट पे तो कभी भी मत बनाइए पिक्चर. Because films have been made and they have not
flopped, yes. Most cricket films have flopped.
Dialect में film कभी मत बनाइए, because when I narrated to him, I narrated in Audhi.
Okay.
Said Audhi समझ में नहीं आती, don't. So there were so many don'ts like this that I said, yeah, but नहीं, Javed साहब बनेगी तो ऐसे ही, this has to be made. So he said, okay, बनाइए. So after I left, he called up Amir and he called Amir and Nina home to tell them that don't make this. Thankfully, Amir and Nina were both sold on the script, so they again convinced him, no, this is good and we should do this. So then Javed Saab was okay.
Yeah.
So similarly, it happened on Swades also, then it happened on Jodhaa Akbaar also.
Yeah.
I mean, आप क्यों पंगे ले रहे हैं? So I said, नहीं, मैं पंगे किसी के साथ नहीं ले रहा हूँ. I am inspired to make this into a film. Now, I'm not comparing it with Mughal-e-Azam. I'm not going to compare Swades with some past classic. I feel very moved by the topic that I've chosen.
Yeah.
And I want to tell this now. If you tell me don't make this now and make it after 4 years, it will lose its nowness. I think Javed Saab has given me great lyrics.
Yes, he has, absolutely.
I think in all the films.
All the songs, yeah.
And the one film that he loved, and he said, "Ke kya baat hai?"
Which was that?
Khele Hum Ji Jaan Se.
Oh, okay.
And that,
Yeah, as we all know.
I mean, he still loves it. But that was a.
Moral
So now,
of the story,
I'm hoping that after narrating Mohenjo-daro, he again tells me, "Don't make this."
that's a magic word, actually. Don't make it. Yeah. Why are your films so long? That's something I'd like to know. Is it true that you shoot everything that you have and then you edit? You don't edit your script? I mean,
No, let me put it this way. The films are not long, the scripts are.
yeah.
The moment you choose drama as a genre, you need more time to develop your characters. You need more time to develop the scenes. You
Okay.
need more time for, allowing the people to enter the world. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't. So I've been fortunate, 3 films I've succeeded, 2 I didn't, because probably the content, the subject matter of that was not allowing a smooth entry for the audience to get into the film.
Okay.
If I choose a very simple love story, contemporary, then I shouldn't be beyond 2 hours. Because it doesn't command that much
True.
screen time.
Yeah.
But if I'm making Gone with the Wind, it's 3 hours immediately.
Yeah.
It's like if you look at Lord of the Rings, they're all 3 hours each.
Yes, there.
But if you look at Harry Potter, they are about 2 hours, 2 hours 15. So there's a difference because of the number of characters. And I've only chosen scripts which I've got. And to add in Jodhaa Akbaar, it was all, Huzur-e-Ala, Aiye, and all. There was so much of manners and morals that
That took.
yeah. So if I choose a detective film, then it will be about 90 minutes to 110 minutes.
Okay.
It cannot be longer than that. I often think about this because I often get asked by audiences कि आपकी picture अच्छी बहुत अच्छी बहुत लंबी थी. So I'm like apologetic. Yeah, I'm sorry it was long, but these films are long. See my new movie that's coming out. So now in case of Mohenjo-daro, which I'm now.
It's going to be 2 hours?
Yeah. The genre that I'm choosing it's love story.
Okay.
It is epic in its scale,
Yeah.
but it's still in a way I want to keep it contemporary.
But it's strange, sometimes 4,000 years old, you're going to keep contemporary.
Yeah.
How do you do that? I mean, Mohenjo-daro was like 2000 BC.
2500 BC. I'm doing.
So how do you make it contemporary? I mean, isn't that a dichotomy between the two words?
Yeah, but this we should after the film is out.
Okay. Now, I was thinking, like with your films, you do so much of research into it, like especially, let's say, Khele Hum Ji Jaan Se, because it's also not a very well-known story. I mean, like we don't know so much about the Chittagong thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you spend years on it, you do the research, you make the film, and then 3 hours later, the audience walks in and says, as you said, bandal hai, bakwas hai, whatever they don't understand. Is that heartbreaking?
No, I thankfully I've not heard these comments yet.
Acha, okay,
I mean,
okay. And then I'm sorry, I
immediate-
shouldn't. Okay. But believe me, I have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what's your Rashi? Everybody said that.
Yeah, but they never told me on my face.
They
Thankfully,
did?
I'm saying.
Acha,
Yeah.
okay.
I was very politely told कि आप वही बनाइए स्वदेश आपने कैसे बनाई आपने जोधा अकबर बनाई आप वही बनाइए ना इतना मजा नहीं आया. So they've been thankfully polite, but I understand their intensity of it. I mean, I'm not going to give you a personal statement about the joy of making movies because that's of course there, it's a given.
Yeah.
I have to do the research because I've chosen a subject like that.
Yeah.
If you right now tell me that I have to make this cup and you want it delivered in a week's time, I'll have to first R&D, how am I going to do this? Where is who's going to mold it for me and where the color is going to come from and whether it's breakable, not breakable, I'll have to do all that.
Yeah.
So when I'm taking the burden on myself that, hello guys, I'm going to make a film on Chittagong, then I have to do the research.
True.
Of course, the audience should reject a film in those 3 hours. For me, I'm very clear about that. I dread it, always. But I feel that if it comes as a negative, then when I started off, my takeoff point was that this is a risky subject.
Okay.
For Jodhaa Akbar, it wasn't so much because I knew that somewhere there is the factor of romance which is so common in the film that it will appeal to audiences.
Sure.
Lagaan I knew is a formula film. I was worried about Swades.
Okay.
Because in Swades, the villain is not external, it's an internal villain. You got to look inwards.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to shake all of us up in terms of what is happening around us.
Exactly.
So obviously it's non-formulaic.
Hmm.
So there is an awareness prior when I'm choosing a script. Like for example, Mohenjo-daro, I'm still a little bit more comforted because it's a romance, it's an adventure, it's got a lot of action. You know, it's more palatable for an audience in terms of entertainment.
Right. Yeah.
So no, after those 3 hours of, I'm not so perturbed by it.
Yeah. You're making this TV serial called Everest, which is about this girl's quest to climb the Everest.
Yeah.
Now tell me one thing, why do you do this? Don't you want to make like a typical Sasbahu type serial and make some money? Why are you getting into all this like troublesome sort of places?
No, I tell you, there are other people who are so good at it that I don't think I can do better than that. See, when you watch a movie for 3 hours, I'll tell you my experience of watching movies. When I see a film, 3 hours, I enjoy it. Great. When I go back home, if the film doesn't come back to me, then I feel those 3 hours are just relegated to the cinema hall.
True. Yeah.
And I love that cinema. That cinema is great. But I want to watch movies which are thought-provoking to me, which also make me think, which also make me, give me some insights into life. I like to have a combination of the two elements in my movies. I want to entertain, but I want the audience to go back home and think about what they saw. Something should come back to them.
Yeah.
So even if I'm doing television, if this is a show that I'm producing, it's being directed by Glenn and Ankush.
Yeah.
It's about the girl child in a very indirect way. It's about how this girl is trying to fulfill her father's dream of climbing Everest. And what she has to do to go out there and do it.
Right.
It's like how women's empowerment they have their own Himalayan tasks in their day-to-day lives.
Absolutely.
So it's like a metaphor, but it's also a drama. It's a drama series.
Yeah,
it's limited in its episodes. It's 105 episodes. But it is an adventure, but with you should feel angst for this girl.
Now in Jodhaa Akbaar, there was that what I call my fangirl moment when Hrithik Roshan without his shirt, that swordplay that he's doing. I mean, that was such a sexual moment, actually.
Yeah.
And I think most women that I know at least swooned at that thing. Can we expect something like that in Mohenjo-daro from him also?
Again, that's a trick question. No, this I will.
We will discuss after the film.
Yes, I won't say yes, but I won't say no either.
Okay. So let me put it this way: will a Hrithik fan be satisfied with what he sees?
Absolutely satisfied. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how do you even know what happened in Mohenjo-daro? How do you know that this love story happened?
I'll tell you. What I like about another aspect of history is that if you tell me that these are the 4 pillars of the Mughal Sultanate, and Jodhaa came in this chamber, and she was married to Akbar. But what happened in this chamber is not written about.
Yeah.
Neither Abul Fazl nor Badauni have ever written about what happened in that chamber. So I'm using these 2 pieces of information and building from that, I'm trying to join the dots and create a scene which is of their religious tolerance, harmony, love, discovery of love, consummation, whatever it may be, within the 4 walls. So it gives me great joy to be able to do that. Similarly for Mohenjo-daro, what we all have studied in our school books is kya drainage system tha.
Yes, exactly.
Now, obviously, in the movie,
that doesn't create a love story.
In the movie, that's the one element that I'm going to avoid. So I'm again trying to join the dots and trying to create that world of who are those people? How did they live? What was the civilization? What is it all about? And the awe that I feel is what I think the audience also feels about it, but I want them to see it and explore it with me in the cinema hall. And I'm doing that through a love story.
And so you will have to obviously recreate this world somewhere.
Yeah.
So what, where, how, what? I mean, you're just going to build on that drainage system to create the world, is it?
No.
No?
I'm going to erect an entire my own city.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
where are you going to be doing this?
I'm now scouting locations,
Okay.
but I have to create my own new city.
Yeah, because it has to come from your mind, really. Because what we see are just ruins. When you research it,
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
get that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. You know, you said you want to burn all the copies of Chamatkar. Why is that?
No, I don't want to burn the copies of Chamatkar. It's just embarrassing to see your bad work. Suppose you find the videos of your 6th birthday and you're there next to the cake doing and imagine that video is now being displayed here for everyone to see. What is that feeling? That's the feeling I get. So I don't want to burn the copies because I like that work. I enjoyed doing that. But I don't want people to keep seeing it now.
I understand it. Okay, when you write your own films, and this is something I often ask people who write, how do you pick one, the idea that you actually want to take into a film, make into a film?
Yeah.
And in the course of this 2.5 year research, how do you keep yourself from getting distracted?
It is difficult to, first of all, choose the script. But I do have at any point in time, I'm developing 3-4 ideas.
Okay.
Like when I was writing Lagaan, along with Lagaan, I was also working on Swades.
Okay.
But I decided to make Lagaan first. Right after Lagaan came out, I started work on Jodhaa Akbaar. But I decided to make Swades first.
Okay.
So while making Swades, Jodhaa Akbaar was still on that low burner. It's a very time-consuming process to do research. And for me, I must do the research myself. I don't like to give my research to a team and say, "Jao research karke le aao ke kya hua tha."
Yeah.
Because that is just information coming to me.
Exactly.
I need to read on myself because then it gets into me and that takes time. When I'm working on these 3-4 different ideas, then I keep building on it.
Okay.
And finally, one of them, really screams कि मुझे बनाओ. Kind of I wait for that to happen. And then I choose that. But even after choosing that, then your next question is it's a tricky one because you have to sustain your interest.
True.
So you'll be amazed. When I start the film, I go off television, I go off newspapers, I go off anything contemporary if I'm making a period film.
Okay.
Because that just keeps me away from. Because what happens is every Friday a film comes out, and Friday film आती है, action film है, super hit हो गई, 100 crores. So you're like, oh my God, action का दौर शुरू हो गया. 2 Fridays later, romantic picture super hit हो गई. And then another one comes out and it's an edgy thriller that has become a super hit. So you keep looking at your movie and say, oh my God, I'm making this period film of mera kya hoga, So to keep that emotion out of my head, I just break away. That way it can, I'm able to focus and stay dedicated, not lose focus on the film that I'm making.
Now, while your lead actor is, of course, dictated by, amongst other things, market forces, and all that, how do you pick, like in Lagaan, if we were to say, how would you pick the other actors other than Amir? In Jodhaa Akbaar, how do you pick the other? How does that process work of picking other actors besides the lead?
I try to give importance to the character that I've created, because my acting years have helped me so much, even in my writing, that when I write a script, or for example, now Goli, or if it's say Mahamanga in Jodhaa Akbaar, both the characterizations come from the research that I've done.
Right.
So I already know while writing what Goli is going to look like, what Deva is going to look like, what Bairam Khan is going to look like, because Bairam Khan's image has been created in my mind from the research. So once I have I need a huge star to, pull my movies, because the movies the canvas is very big.
Yeah.
So when I'm comforted by the fact that I have an Amir, I have an Shah Rukh, or I have a Hrithik, it gives me the courage to take new actors. It helps achieve 2 things. One, the new actors come with their freshness and make this world much more believable. You feel that, audiences, and me too, I look at a movie and I say, okay, I know the actor, I know the main star, and he's trying to play a character. But with him, when I see all the other characters, I realize that this world is probably 1893, as in Lagaan, or even for Jodhaa. Swades, the panchayat was very important because I wanted the panchayat to be really, really fresh faces. So the entire panchayat, including Kaveri Amma, was very fresh.
Yeah.
Because audiences were still adjusting to the fact that Shah Rukh is in half-sleeve shirts. Because that's the first film that he was wearing half-sleeve shirts and just striped shirts and normal shirts and, sitting in a boat and...
Right.
So for me, the process is in the scripting itself. When I'm in the casting phase, I go on DD Bangla or DD Orissa, DD Telangana, all the different... Because when you go on those channels, you see the shows happening on those channels and you see all this set of actors who want to come to Mumbai, but kaun jayega abhi Mumbai, who's going to now?
Yeah.
And they are doing their thing.
Yeah.
So if you look at Swades, all that panchayat, I got them from Lucknow. They're all scattered from different places.
Okay.
So I'm constantly looking for actors who are necessarily not in Mumbai.
Okay, now there's this whole 100 crore club thing that everybody's talking about all the time. Now 200, 300, 400, 500, God knows what.
Yeah.
How much do you aspire to belong to these clubs?
It's a new term for me. Because I remember in our growing up years, we would step out of a film and say, Silver Jubilee karegi picture. So there was 25 weeks at that time.
Yeah.
And then there were films that did only 100 days.
Yes.
So I think the new term is 100 crores. And what it means is that if you reach this as a benchmark, then you are success is assured. I think there are some films that do only 40 crores.
Yeah.
But the budget was 5 crores.
Exactly.
I feel those are probably equivalent to 200 crore films.
Absolutely.
So I definitely want success in my films. And I want audiences to love the films. And because my subjects are so risky in their inception that when you get success, it means a lot.
True.
It means that an entire audience has chosen your film and said that we enjoyed whatever world you have created.
Yes.
So that's great. I would love to be a part of. I hope by the time I come out, it'll be 300 crores. Yeah. So it might be the 300 crore club.
Great. Okay, I think I've spoken to you plenty, and I'm sure everybody has lots and lots of questions for you.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. My
Hi.
name is Bhupendra. You said you're making Mohenjo-daro. So, is there going to be a nuclear explosion in the end of your movie?
Nuclear explosion?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
In your version of it, is there going to be one?
No. Why is there a nuclear explosion, but?
Because there are many stories related to that when during the archaeological find, there was a lot of radiation in there, and so they had a lot of examples which proved to that.
Right. No, there are many theories, many different theories, but they're all scattered across from say 3000 BC to 1500 to 1000 BC, and all the stories are very vague. There is no concrete, you can't pinpoint on a particular thing about what happened. So archaeologists are trying to now, kind of blend it all in by saying that these are the circumstances that could have led, but we can't say that this one particularly did it. But nuclear explosion is I'm hearing for the first time.
Yeah, well, there was others, so just wondering whether in your version is
No, not in Mohenjo-daro for sure.
Thank you.
Which was the last movie that you enjoyed thoroughly?
I enjoyed thoroughly Humpty Sharma ki Dulhania. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I enjoyed that film. I thought the writing was amazing in that. I thought the dialogue writing was tremendous. It really was and both the actors are outstanding.
Definitely, you a lot of youth in that movie.
Yeah. And director's first work.
Yeah.
So I thought he kept a good control on that entire storytelling.
Were you at Getty, sir?
No.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
My name is Ankit. I'm an actor. So, do you yourself see making a fictional period film like something on the lines of The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit?
Yeah, actually, Mohenjo would be in that space because it's fictional. There is nothing known about that civilization in terms of what happened, what are the people. we only have evidences of pottery, seals, a lot of jewelry, kind of beads which have been found, some implements, farming implements, but not what happened. You can categorize the Indus civilization as prehistory. Prehistory is something in which there is no historical evidence or facts written down. Like everything after that becomes ancient India. If you go to Buddha period, it's ancient, but Mohenjo is prehistory. So I like that because then it gives me the ability to go the Lord of the Rings way, but Lord of the Rings is more fantasy. I'm not going into fantasy yet in this one.
My name is Suhas, and my question for you is that what is more inspiring or more happy when you hear that you got the critical acclaim, you got the box office return, people were entertained, your audience were entertained, or that you brought something new to the table?
Yeah, see, if the film has got box office success, that's immediate. That's great. It's happened. But if after 5 years I get a compliment for a film that I've done 5 years ago,
Yes.
and if the compliment is related to not only the movie but also the performance, it can be cinematography, it can be editing, anything, it makes you feel good. Because it means that, generation has changed, people are still remembering what you've done, and people have grown and still they have not outgrown your movie. So that is a very different kind of satisfaction.
Thank you, sir.
You have been the voting member of Academy Awards, and with Lagaan, not just you, we all were like yay close to getting it.
Yeah.
So now with Mohenjo-daro, now since you have been the insider of the Academy Awards as a voting member, you must have learned something, like you said, everything that didn't work was an learning experience.
Yeah.
So whatever you learned, are you incorporating them in Mohenjo-daro?
No, you can't do that. You got to make the movie for movie's sake, and hope that you're able to translate the script correctly, accurately on screen. After that, something magical happens. Where you either arrived on a great film, which audiences like, or it's a film that is good and audiences didn't connect. So you have to just, for me, I'm talking about myself right now. I want to just focus on the film and get it right first. If you get it right, everything else then follows. Then be it any film festival or be it any award or anything, then it's a question of marketing, where marketing strategies come into play, and that's a completely different ballgame. But that strategy is always as good or bad as the film is. So that comes later.
Is it also true that every time you set out to make a film and you go to Javed Saab,
Yeah.
he tells you, don't make this film,
Yeah,
and then you make it, and then he says, wow, thank God you made it. Is this really true?
Yeah, it always happens.